Today's deadly ICE shooting is sparking new questions. A big one, what happens when a federal officer kills someone?
We're bringing in senior investigative reporter Jennifer Mayerle. She's been going through the Department of Homeland Security use of force policy, and I know people are curious about this.
Yeah, there's a lot of things being talked about, but this is definitely one of them. This is the updated department policy on use of force, and it goes through when force can be used. So what does that mean? Well, it's referring to everything from non-lethal force, like putting your hands on someone or deploying tear gas, to lethal force. And lethal or deadly force is what we're talking about when it comes to what happened this morning. So the policy statement on use of force includes general principles like having respect for human life and being trained in de-escalation techniques. So let's walk through when it comes to using deadly force. It says use of deadly force must be objectively reasonable in light of the facts and circumstances. The guidelines go on to say they, quote, may use deadly force only when necessary, when the LEO or law enforcement officer has reasonable belief that the subject of such force possesses an imminent threat of death or serious bodily injury to the LEO or another person. So then we get to what they call fleeing subjects. And this could be a scenario like this morning when the person was in a car. So it clearly states deadly force shall not be used solely to prevent the escape of a fleeing subject. Now, we don't know if that would qualify under this. Then it adds deadly force is authorized to prevent the escape of a fleeing subject where the LEO has a reasonable belief that the subject poses a significant threat of death or serious physical harm to the LEO or others, and such force is necessary to prevent escape. So I know that's a lot of language and a lot of quotes that we've been talking about. This will all be part of a larger investigation that we know now is being handled jointly by the State Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, or what we refer to as the BCA, and the FBI. What will be looked at is evidence. That's going to be some of that video that we've seen today. It's going to be evidence with this policy and the law applied to it. And it will have a great focus on what that officer was thinking in the moment. And they talk about this, of what the officer was thinking in the moment, not 20/20 hindsight looking back, but what was that officer thinking in the moment. A lot of it will come down to an interview that agent will likely do to talk about what was going through their mind.
And we talked a little bit, it doesn't necessarily have to be that he felt that there was a deathly harm to him. It could have been for the other officer. He thought maybe something was happening with the other officer that was pulling on the car handle.
So we know that there was a number of people around that car. We also did hear from some of the videos commands that were given. One of the things in their policy says they should, when they can, introduce themselves, say who they are, give commands. It seemed that happened in this case from what we've been able to hear from video on the scene. But what you're referring to, Amelia, and we go back to this quote, it says, where there is a reasonable belief that the subject poses a significant threat of death or serious physical harm to the LEO, that's that person who opens fire, or others. And so that can be another law enforcement officer, that can be someone else in the area. So we're going to continue to talk to experts, and we're going to talk about what they've seen so far in this video. And again, this is just what we're seeing so far, but we're going to bring you their perspective. We plan to do that tonight at 6. Again, currently a joint investigation from the BCA and the FBI, which is interesting because it's the state and the federal government working together on this right now.
Okay, thanks,
Thank
Jen.
you.